Machines. Lathe machine. Lathes are one of the most versatile machine tools in the industry, used to perform a variety of machining operations. The lathe is applied to the tool and rotated to perform various operations. It can be used for facing, turning, knurling, grooving, drilling, reaming, boring, cutting or parting off. The main function of the lathe is to remove the material from the workpiece and make the workpiece the desired shape and size. During the working of the lathe, the workpiece is rotated against the tool to achieve material removal and the direction of tool movement becomes feed. Lathe machine types. Some of the important types of lathe machines given. Engine lathe or center lathe machine. The engine lathe is the most important tool in the lathe family and by far the most widely used type of lathe machine. Turret lathe machine. It is a production machine that is used for the production of products on a large scale. It basically handles heavy-duty workpieces. The distinguishing feature of this type of lathe is that the tailstock is replaced by hexagonal turret. Tool room lathe machine. Tool room lathe is a modern engine lathe that is equipped with all the necessary accessories for the accurate tool room work. It is best suited for the production of small tools, dies, gaugers, etc. Bench lathe. Bench lathe machine is a type of small lathe machine which has all the parts of the engine lathe and speed lathe. It is mounted on a workbench and is used for doing small precision and light jobs. CNC lathe machine. Computer numeric control (CNC) is the most advanced form of the lathe machine. CNC lathe machine produces the most accurate products as compared to the other type of lathe machine. In this video we will have an discussion of engine lathe. Lathe machine parts. The lathe machine consists of following main parts: bed, headstock, tailstock, carriage, saddle, cross slide, compound rest, tool post, apron, chuck, feed rod, lead screw, spindle. Let's start from bed first. Bed construction. The bed of the lathe machine is the base on which all the other parts of the lathe are mounted. Its upper surface is either scraped or grounded and the guiding and the sliding surfaces are provided. The bed consists of heavy metal slides running lengthwise, with ways or V's forced upon them. It is rigidly supported by cross girths. The three major units mounted on a bed are headstock, tailstock, carriage. Headstock. The headstock is present on the left end of the bed. The main function of the headstock is to transmit power to the different parts of the lathe. It supports the main spindle in the bearing and aligns it properly. It also houses a necessary transmission mechanism with speed-changing levers to obtain different speeds. Accessories mounted on the headstock spindle are 3-jaw chuck, 4-jaw chuck, lathe center and lathe dog, collet chuck, magnetic chuck. Tailstock. The tailstock is a movable casting located opposite to the headstock on the way of the bed. The basic function of the tailstock is to support the other end of the work when being machined, to hold a tool for performing operations like drilling, reaming, tapping, etc. It consists of the dead centers, the adjusting screws, and the handwheel. The body of the tailstock is adjustable on the base which is mounted on the guideways of the bed and can be moved. Carriage. Carriage is located between headstock and tailstock. The basic function of the carriage is to support, guide, and feed the tool against the job during operation. It consists of 5 main parts: saddle, cross slide, compound rest, tool post, apron. Saddle. It is an H-shaped casting mounted on the top of the lathe ways. It provides support to cross slide, compound rest, and tool post. Cross slide. Cross slide is provided with a female dovetail on one side and assembled on the top of the saddle with its male dovetail. The top surface of the cross slide is provided with T-slots to enable fixing of rear tool post or coolant attachment. Carriage basically provides a mounted or automatic cross movement for the cutting tool. Compound rest. Compound rest is present on the top of the cross slide. It supports the tool post and cutting tool in its various positions. Compound rest is necessary for turning angles and boring short tapers and forms on forming tools. Tool post. The tool post is mounted on the compound rest. It is used to hold various cutting tool holders. The holders rest on a wedge which is shaped on the bottom to fit into a concave-shaped ring. Segmental type, which permits the height of the cutting edge to be adjusted by tilting the tool. It is fixed on the top slide. It gets its movement by the movement of the saddle, cross slide, and top slide. Apron. The apron is fastened to the saddle and hangs over the front of the bed. Apron consists of the gears and clutches for transmitting motion from the feed rod to the carriage, and the split nut which engages with the lead screw during cutting threads. 2 types of apron are extensively used, incorporating drop worm mechanism. Friction or dog clutches. Chuck. Chuck is basically used to hold the workpiece, particularly of short length and large diameter or of irregular shape which can't be conveniently mounted between centers. It can be attached to the lathe by screwing on the spindle nose. 4 different types of chucks are most commonly used in lathe: independent a 4-jaw chuck, 3-jaw or universal chuck, collect chuck, and magnetic chuck. Independent a 4-jaw chuck. It is used for irregular shapes, rough castings of square or octagonal in such jobs, where a hole is to be positioned off the center. It consists of 4 jaws and each jaw is independently actuated and adjusted by a key for holding the job. 3-jaw or universal chuck. It consists of 3 jaws that move simultaneously by turning a key, and the workpiece automatically remains in the center of the chuck opening. It is used for holding a round, hexagonal bar or other symmetric work. Collet chuck. It is mostly used in the places where production work is required, such as in capstan lathe or automats. It is used for holding the bars of small sizes below 63 mm. Magnetic chuck. They are of permanent magnet type, are electrically operated. In lathe, it does not have widespread use. Feed rod. Feed rod is a power transmission mechanism used for precise linear movement of the carriage along the longitudinal axis of the lathe. In some lathe machines, instead of feed rod, lead screws are used. Lead screw. The lead screw is used mostly in the case when the threading operation is to be performed on a lathe. As we know, for threading operation requires rotational movement of the job, workpiece, and the linear movement of the tool.